Hello hockey fans and welcome back to another video. The ongoing saga between Jack Eichel and the Buffalo Sabres has been the biggest headline throughout the 2021 offseason. From his initial trade request to his injury troubles, from his rehab to his change in agent, this drama has been going on for quite some time now with seemingly no end in sight. However, the situation took another surprising turn just a few days ago on September 23rd, when Sabres general manager Kevin Adams announced that Jack Eichel would no longer wear the C on his jersey as the captain of the roster, citing that the captain is, quote, the heartbeat of your team, and how he felt the organisation needed to make that decision moving forwards. Yikes. Though it might seem a little unconventional for a team to strip the captaincy from one of their players and keep them on their roster after the fact, it may surprise you to discover that there have been a number of superstars and future Hall of Famers that also continued playing for their franchise after losing the C from their jersey, either due to their performance on the ice or numerous issues off it. So in today's video, let's take a look at some of the most recent examples, as we explore 6 NHL stars who were stripped of team captaincy. Let us begin by taking a look at the most recent stripped captaincy before Eichel, which belonged to Dustin Brown. The 13th overall pick of the 2003 draft by the Los Angeles Kings, Dustin Brown has spent the last 17 seasons in the NHL exclusively with the Kings, where he has scored 684 points in 1,232 regular season games, was named a 2009 NHL All-Star, and won the league's Foundation Player Award in 2011. Not only that, Brown's reserved leadership style has also earned him a letter on his jersey for much of his career, as he was named captain of the Kings roster on October 8, 2008. Once he had earned the C on his jersey, Brown would lead the Kings through their most successful period in franchise history. Thanks to his 4 20-goal seasons and 4 50-point seasons between 2008 and 2016, Brown would not only put up strong scoring numbers, he would help LA become a perennial championship contender. In fact, Brown's performance during the postseason would see him become just the second American captain to lift the Stanley Cup, as he led the Kings to their first and second championships in franchise history in 2012 and 2014. Despite helping the only team he had ever known reach the pinnacle of the sport on multiple occasions, the Canadian forward wouldn't hold the captaincy for much longer. After scoring 28 points in 82 games during the 15-16 NHL season, and having been unable to crack the 30-point mark since the 2012 lockout, on June 16, 2016, it was revealed that Brown had been stripped of his C and was no longer captain of the Kings roster. Instead, LA decided to name Brown an alternate captain and give the C to Kings star Anze Kopitar. When asked about this move, Brown stated that he respected the decision, but he didn't like the way it had been handled as it had put him in a difficult situation. Not only that, Brown felt that his relationship with both the Kings organization and the team's head coach Daryl Sutter had been better, and that he felt like the team had been trying to trade him. Not the best thank you to the guy who led you to your first 2 cups in franchise history, eh folks? Though he would have to get used to wearing an A on his jersey, and he would continue to play for the Kings well after he lost his captaincy, Brown's demotion was arguably the best thing that could have happened to his career, at least from a statistical standpoint anyway. In the 5 seasons since he was stripped of the C, Brown has scored at least 30 points every single year, including 2 seasons with at least 20 goals and 50 points, as well as a career-high 28-goal, 61-point year during the 17-18 season. Now that's how you bounce back, folks. Given that he has played for the Kings for so long after his demotion, and given that he has taken his game to another level in the years since, it seems like relieving Brown of the captaincy was the right thing to do for both the player and the organisation in the long run. Sure, he helped his franchise lift a pair of championships while he was captain, but in order to get the most out of him on the box score and give his team the best chance to win every single night, Brown was better off not having to worry about the responsibilities that come with being a captain, duties that had clearly impacted his production and on-ice play. And besides, Brown is still the same guy he was when he was captain, and is one of the last remaining veterans on a rebuilding Kings team, so he will continue to lead by example until his time with the franchise is over, whether he's wearing a C on his jersey or not. Next up, let's go to the opposite side of the timeline and explore the oldest example of a stripped captaincy in this video, belonging to Mike Modano. The first overall pick of the 1988 draft by the Minnesota North Stars, Mike Modano spent 21 seasons in the NHL, almost entirely with the Dallas Stars, where he scored 1,374 points in 1,499 games, was named an 8-time All-Star, won the 1999 Stanley Cup, and had his number 9 retired by the organization. Oh, and he's also the leading scorer in Stars history, was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2014, and is the best American-born player in NHL history, just in case you weren't impressed enough already, you know. Thanks to his standout play, Modano also spent much of his career with a letter on his jersey, as he served as an alternate captain of the Stars between 1995 and 2003, before being named captain of the team for the 03-04 season. Though he had just been handed the C as the undisputed face of the franchise, Modano would struggle to live up to the hype during his early tenure as captain. With just 14 goals and 44 points in 76 games during the 03-04 NHL season, and having sat out the entire 04-05 lockout season, the American forward had seen his production practically halved and had missed an entire season of play, save for a 7-game stint at the 2005 Hockey World Cup. That said, this lengthy time away from the rink must have done him good, as Modano's sophomore year as captain would see him return to form thanks to his 27 goals and 77 points in 78 regular season games during the 05-06 NHL season. Despite this rebound performance, Modano's reign would soon come to an end. On September 29, 2006, the Dallas Stars announced that Modano would no longer serve as team captain. Instead, he would become an alternate captain once again, while the C went to fellow Stars forward Brendan Morrow. Roughly 8 years younger than Modano, Morrow had served as an alternate captain for the Stars in each of the last 2 seasons, and had quickly become a favourite amongst players, coaches and fans, since he had scored at least 20 goals, registered at least 49 points, and racked up at least 120 penalty minutes in each of those 2 years. Having lost the C on his jersey after just 2 seasons on the job, and having been relegated to alternate duties once again, Modano would take this demotion like the consummate professional he was, and continue to suit up for the Stars during the twilight years of his career. In fact, Modano would end up playing another 4 years for Dallas after his demotion, where he served as an alternate captain every single season and produced respectable scoring numbers, before leaving the organization in 2010 and spending the final year of his career with the Detroit Red Wings. Sure, his tenure as Dallas's captain wasn't that great, but considering the long and successful career that he produced in the best league in the world, I don't think Modano is too upset about how things turned out for him, do you? Let's move on to a stripped captaincy that happened just a year after Modano's did, which belonged to Patrick Elias. A second-round pick in the 1994 draft by the New Jersey Devils, Elias would go on to spend his entire 20-year NHL career exclusively with the Devils, where he won 2 Stanley Cup championships, had his number 26 retired by the organization, and became the all-time leading scorer in Devils franchise history thanks to his 1,025 points in 1,240 games. Pretty good career for a 52nd overall pick, eh folks? Having become a mainstay on the Devils roster, seeing Elias without a letter on his jersey became somewhat of a rarity, as he served as an alternate captain of the team for 13 seasons between the years 2000 and 2015. In the midst of this tenure though, Elias would earn himself quite the promotion, as he was named captain of New Jersey's roster on October 5, 2006, becoming the first European-born captain in Devils franchise history. However, his tenure as captain wouldn't last very long. After scoring 21 goals and 69 points in 75 games during his debut year with the C in 06-07, Elias would be stripped of the role before the following 07-08 season got underway. And why did Elias lose the captaincy less than a year after receiving it? Because incoming Devils head coach Brent Sutter felt that Elias wasn't deserving of the honour and handed it to longtime teammate Jamie Langenbrunner on December 5, 2007 instead. Well, that's one way to make a first impression and get your players' attention, I guess. Despite losing the C off his jersey, Elias would quickly regain his A as an alternate captain, play another 9 seasons in the league, and secure his place in Devils franchise history thanks to his continued strong scoring numbers. On the flip side, Sutter lasts just 2 seasons as New Jersey's head coach before being relieved of his duties, and spent the following 3 seasons with the Calgary Flames before leaving the league behind at the conclusion of the 11-12 season. So I think we know who came out better in the long run. Isn't karma just the best? Speaking of players named Patrick, let's skip ahead a few seasons now and shift our attention to sunny California, as next we have Patrick Marleau. The second overall pick of the 1997 draft by the San Jose Sharks, Patrick Marleau has spent the last 23 seasons in the NHL almost exclusively with the Sharks, where he has become the NHL's all-time games played leader and scored the most goals, assists and points in San Jose franchise history thanks to potting 1,197 points in 1,779 games. What is it with so many franchise leaders ending up on this list? During his lengthy career with the Sharks, Marleau would also cement his reputation as a locker room leader, as he served as an alternate captain for the team in 9 of his 16 full seasons with San Jose between 2002 and 2021. Now, some of you may be wondering why he wasn't an alternate for longer. Surely if he was really a leader for the team, he wouldn't have been an alternate for only half of his time with the franchise. Well, in the midst of his tenure with the team, the Canadian forward would find himself swapping the A for a C, as Marleau was named captain of the Sharks midway through the 03-04 NHL season after rotating the role between various other Shark stars. From there, Marleau would spend the rest of that year as well as the following 4 seasons as San Jose's captain, and though he would struggle to take the next step in his game early on, he would end up scoring 30 goals or more 3 times and 70 points or more 3 times, en route to producing 340 points in 393 regular season games between 2003 and 2009. After bouncing back from a disappointing 07-08 season by scoring 38 goals and 71 points in 76 games during the following 08-09 NHL season, San Jose decided to make a surprising change. During the summer of 2009, it was revealed that Sharks head coach Todd McClellan had removed Marleau from his role as captain of the team. Instead, Rob Blake would become the new team captain on September 30th, 2009, while Marleau would be given his A back as an alternate. Though this move seemed to come out of nowhere, similarly to Dustin Brown, it actually proved to work out pretty well. Not only would Marleau explode on the score sheet straight out of the gate thanks to a whopping 44-goal, 83-point year during the 09-10 season, excluding the lockout-shortened year, Marleau would register at least 30 goals and 60 points in each of the next 4 seasons. Sure, his point production as captain was better overall, and you could certainly argue that his demotion was undeserving, but considering he scored the most goals of his career by a pretty notable margin, and registered the second most points of his entire NHL career the season after he was demoted, perhaps not having to deal with the various duties that come with being a captain, and being able to solely focus on playing his game was the right thing for both Marleau and the Sharks in the long run. After all, he has since gone on to play more games than any other player in the league's 104-year history, so things worked out for him pretty well if you ask me. Speaking of the San Jose Sharks, penultimately we have another Sharks franchise great who would also find the C ripped from his jersey prematurely by the name of Joe Thornton. The first overall pick of the 1997 draft by the Boston Bruins, Thornton has spent the last 25 years in the NHL, where he has suited up predominantly with the Bruins and the San Jose Sharks, and has scored 1,529 points in 1,680 games. Not only that, Thornton has also won the Art Ross, the Hart Memorial, and has been named a 6-time All-Star, so he's done pretty well for himself all things considered. After joining the San Jose Sharks via trade in 2006, Thornton would find a place on the Sharks' first line, alongside previous entry Patrick Marleau. From there, the pair would quickly become one of the most productive duos in the league for the next decade of their respective careers, with Marleau typically scoring the goals and Thornton assisting them. Not only that, Thornton would be regarded as a leader on the roster, as he served as an alternate captain for the Sharks in 11 of his 14 years with the team. And what was he doing during the other 3 seasons? Serving as the team's captain, of course. In the midst of his tenure in California, Thornton would earn a promotion from A to C, as he was named captain of the Sharks for the 10-11 NHL season after previous captain Rob Blake announced his retirement. Unfortunately though, Thornton's time as captain wouldn't be nearly as successful as anyone would hope. Though he would wear the C on his jersey for the next 4 seasons between 2010 and 2014, during that span, the former first overall draft pick would score 20 goals just once and 75 points twice, en route to potting 263 points in 292 regular season games. Sure, he was still nearly a point per game during that span, so his numbers weren't terrible, but considering he had registered 385 points in 325 games during his prior 4 seasons with the team, he had clearly taken a notable step back in his production. After scoring 11 goals and 76 points in 82 games during the 13-14 season, and with the Sharks having blown a 3-0 series lead to their rival Los Angeles Kings in the first round of the 2014 Stanley Cup playoffs, the Sharks decided to take their franchise in a new direction. On August 20th, 2014, Sharks head coach Todd McLellan announced that Thornton would no longer wear the C on his jersey and that the team would start the 14-15 NHL season without a captain. Though this move could be seen as a direct criticism of Thornton's leadership, McLellan stated that the decision was made as part of his plan to shake up the hierarchy within the Sharks locker room. The problem was, he didn't inform his star players about his plan, as Thornton had no idea that he had been stripped of the captaincy until he was informed by reporters who asked him for comment. In fact, Thornton claimed that he had talked to McLellan earlier that day and there had been no discussion about a change in leadership, but the matter was quickly resolved once McLellan sat down with Thornton and fellow Sharks star Patrick Marleau and clarified the situation with both of them. Not the best way to tell your captain that he's lost his job, folks? Having been given an A on his jersey once more, Thornton would play another 6 seasons with the San Jose Sharks, serve as an alternate captain every year, and score a further 315 points in 429 regular season games, before leaving the team behind after parts of 16 seasons in San Jose and spending the recent 2021 season with the Toronto Maple Leafs. Sure, Thornton's play had continued to regress compared to his time before and during his captaincy, but considering he continued to produce respectable scoring numbers well into his late 30s, and considering the team were a consistent playoff contender and reached their first Stanley Cup finals in franchise history just 2 years after the change in leadership, stripping Thornton of the Sharks' captaincy and letting him focus solely on his on-ice play may have been the right move for both the player and the organisation in the long run. And finally, let's take a look at the most surprising stripped captaincy of this video, which belonged to Scott Niedermeyer. The 3rd overall pick of the 1991 draft by the New Jersey Devils, Scott Niedermeyer would take to the ice in parts of 18 seasons in the NHL, predominantly with the Devils, and produce one hell of a career, as he scored 740 points in 1,263 games, won 4 Stanley Cup championships, is a member of the exclusive Triple Gold Club, and had his number 27 retired by New Jersey in 2011. Oh, and he was also named as one of the NHL's 100 greatest players in league history, and was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2013. So yeah, the guy was a pretty good hockey player, folks. During his long and successful pro career, Niedermeyer would be recognised as a leader for his team and wear a letter on his jersey, as he was an alternate captain for New Jersey between 2000 and 2003 and served as the team's captain during his final year with the franchise in 03-04 before joining the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim for the post-lockout 05-06 season. In fact, Niedermeyer's move to California would see him pick up another C, as he was named captain of the Ducks roster immediately upon his arrival. From there, Niedermeyer would suit up in Anaheim for the first time and look to lead his new team to the promised land as Cup champions. Despite scoring 13 goals and 63 points in 82 games during his debut year on the roster, the Ducks were unable to get the job done, as they were eliminated in the 2006 Western Conference Finals by the Edmonton Oilers. However, Niedermeyer's sophomore season with the team would see him make good on his promise. Joined on the blue line by fellow defensive superstar Chris Pronger, the former 3rd overall draft pick would help the Ducks win the most games and record the most points in their franchise's history, as well as being named a finalist for the 2007 Norris Trophy thanks to scoring 15 goals and 69 points in 79 regular season games. Not only that, Niedermeyer's 11 points in 21 games during the playoffs would help Anaheim reach the summit, as the Ducks defeated the Ottawa Senators in 6 games to clinch the 2007 Stanley Cup. If all of that wasn't impressive enough though, Niedermeyer's performance during the postseason would also earn him the 2007 Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP, so all in all it was a pretty successful year for him. Now here's where things get a little confusing. Though he had just led Anaheim to their first Cup championship and he was the reigning playoff MVP, the 34-year-old blue liner considered going out on top as he began to contemplate retiring from the league. Once the following 07-08 season had gotten underway, and with Niedermeyer still unsure on his future, the Ducks decided to make a change in leadership. Having failed to report to the team before the season commenced, Anaheim announced that they had suspended Niedermeyer from the Ducks roster, and they were stripping him of the team captaincy. With the position now vacant, the Ducks decided to award the C to fellow blue liner Chris Pronger instead. Though his suspension from the team would be nothing more than a formality, and he would remain unsure on his future several months into the season, Niedermeyer eventually decided that he wanted to carry on playing and return to the Ducks roster in early December. However, he wouldn't get his C back, as he spent the rest of the year as an alternate captain while Pronger continued to serve as captain. Despite wearing an A on his jersey for the first time in 4 years, Niedermeyer wouldn't skip a beat, as he scored 8 goals and 25 points in the final 48 games of the season and was invited to the 2008 All-Star Game for his efforts. Once the defending Cup champions were eliminated in the first round of the 2008 playoffs by the Dallas Stars, and having contemplated retirement once again during the following offseason, Niedermeyer would forego ending his career and return to the Ducks before the following 08-09 season commenced. In exchange for him making his decision much quicker than the year before, the Canadian defenseman was given his C back, as he was renamed captain of the Ducks on October 7, 2008. So Niedermeyer had captained the Ducks to their first Stanley Cup and won the Conn Smythe as playoff MVP, lost the captaincy the next season as he missed games due to contemplating retirement, and took the C back after turning up to the team on time for the following season, all in the span of 3 years. Talk about a roller coaster ride of events, eh folks? From there, Niedermeyer would spend 2 more seasons as the captain of the Anaheim Ducks, where he scored 107 points in 162 regular season games and earned 1 final All-Star appearance, before hanging up his skates for good following the 09-10 NHL season. Considering the calibre of players we've looked at in this video, and how well each of their careers have ended up panning out, perhaps losing the captaincy isn't always a bad thing after all. And that was a look at 6 NHL stars who were stripped of team captaincy. What do you guys think about these players and the reasons they lost the C? Do you think they were deserved, or do you think they should have held on to the letter for a little while longer? Also, do you want me to explore more examples of stripped captaincies in the NHL? I wanted to look at the most recent examples in this video, but there are a bunch of superstars and Hall of Famers that I didn't include from decades past. So if you want me to also take a look at them in another video, let me know in the comments below. I would love to hear what you guys think. But thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have enjoyed. Please feel free to like, subscribe, share, or watch some of my other videos. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye. A big thank you to Drew Fawcett, Houston NG, Saeed and Worthless Pieces for helping support this video via Patreon. If you too want to help support the channel a little bit further and get a shout out at the end of every future video, make sure you head over to patreon.com/oddmanrush and become a patron today.